Good morning, kids, and today we're checking out a brand new video from Game Theory about how we may actually be the final boss in Deltarune. Let's hop in and see what MatPat pieced together this time in the Dark Worlds. Oh, well, look at that. Oop, hold on. Whoa,
Hey, it's me, everybody's favorite
Number one
Okay, there we
theorist.
go.
Matthew R. Patrick. Whoa, if it isn't a
Loyal theorist.
hey.
Okay, now that was kind of crazy. The video lagged so hard, the audio didn't kick in for a whole 8 seconds.
Hey, well, have I got a
Deltarune theory.
for you. You want it, you want.
Deltarune theory.
Don't you? All you have to do is
Well,
show me
yeah.
your...
Subscribe button.
Go on, why don't you show it off? This is your chance to be a big shot. A big shot, big shot, big.
Nobody showed up before I saw any video. Nice job.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show where everyone's a
Big shot!
loyal theorist. As I continued to round
Yes,
out my time
we
hosting the
are.
channel, one thing that was really important to me was revisiting iconic theories from throughout the show's history. And perhaps no theory is as beloved as the Sans' Nest theory. Now, back in the day, this one was a bit
Classic.
controversial. Not exactly sure why, though. It seemed pretty obvious to me that this small boy from Earthbound was the same as this Tumblr sexy man from Undertale.
Yeah.
People said I was crazy. And now, all these years later, I finally understand why. You see, after all these years, Toby Fox finally decided to come online and set the record straight, sending me this tweet in the wake of my announcement video, and suddenly everything clicked. Sans isn't Ness. Sans and Papyrus are Ness. No wonder
come
you all
on.
were so frustrated about that episode. I am so sorry, and I feel so much better now. Thank you. Anyway, all that ancient history. What I want to talk about today is Toby Fox's latest game, Deltarune. Specifically the newest chapter, which just released in September of 2021.
Oh,
Alright,
God,
so
it's been almost
admittedly
3
I might be a
years.
little bit late to this one. And since it's been a hot minute since we last covered the franchise, let me just catch you up with where we stand right now.
Yeah,
Off the
okay.
bat, it's important to remember that Deltarune is a spiritual successor to Undertale. Even though a lot of the same characters show up in both, they function independently from their first outing. This time we play as Chris,
They are
a
very
quiet,
different.
lonely human child in a world of monsters, adopted into the family of Toriel, Asgore, and Asriel. See what I mean about the same characters repeating themselves? In Chapter 1, Chris gets paired up with the school bully Susie to go find some chalk, only to fall into the Dark World, a fantasy realm of living cards and toys powered by something
Correction, the first Dark World. Because I was actually told that there was like multiple of them apparently.
called a dark fountain. Along the way, they meet the dark prince named Ralsei, whose name is an anagram of Asriel, just something to keep in mind. We quickly
Yeah,
learn
good
of a
point that
prophecy
out.
where Chris, Susie, and Ralsei are meant to restore balance to both the worlds of light and dark. After much ducking and dodging with our heart-shaped object, Susie learns to accept friendship, and together the team defeats the evil
Heart-shaped
king and
object.
escape back to the real world, where suddenly the pair find themselves in a supply room scattered with toys and games. It was all pretend, or was it? Either way, it's a happy ending, right? Well, it would have been if it hadn't been for Chris.
I mean, that's how we thought in the first game, and that it was all just pretend. But by the second game, and we find out, no, it is not pretend. A dark fountain can be opened. How? It's unknown. It seems that someone has to make a blade out of determinations, or something along that line, and then strike where they want the fountain to open. And from there, it just spills out. Oop, oh, there we go.
ripping out their heart, shoving it into a birdcage, and then showing off their shiny new knife. It was quite the twist ending.
Just to
It
go
left
eat
us
some
with
pie.
a lot of questions. Questions that we all hoped would be answered in Chapter 2 3 years later. So what did we learn when Chapter 2 finally released? Well, Chris used that knife to eat a pie. No joke, just ate a pie. And from there, Chapter 2 follows a similar pattern to Chapter 1. Susie and Chris find a dark fountain in the library, which leads them to the cyber world. It's there that they find an evil computer queen in the process of capturing their friends, the shy Noelle and the obnoxious know-it-all Birdly. Noelle learns to be confident, Birdly learns to be more humble, and everyone teams up to defeat the queen in a final game of Punch-Out.
Yeah, Birdly
because
finally
that's
learns
exactly what you'd
humility.
expect from a turn-based RPG. It's yet another happy ending until Chris removes their heart once more, slashes their mom's tires, and then uses the knife to open up a dark portal in the middle of the living room. So what
Correction, that's not when he slashes the tiles. That actually happens when he is in the bathroom. So yes, he does slash the tiles, but he was putting the door open so that would be a gateway into the dark world. I don't know. I'm guessing he'll.
does this all mean? And doesn't it immediately fly in the face of that prophecy Ralsei gave us at the start of chapter 1? It specifically sets up Chris, Susie, and Ralsei as the heroes of the story, the ones who are going to restore balance to the worlds of light and dark, and yet here's Chris running around opening dark fountains, making it more unbalanced. Does that mean that the prophecy then is bogus? Oh no, dear theorists.
Really?
In fact, instead of breaking from the prophecy, I think Chris is actually in the process of fulfilling it. How? Well, best grab your pencil swords, my friends, because I believe that this single action's revealing to us how the game is gonna end. The truth hidden inside that prophecy, and who the final boss of the game is ultimately gonna be.
Yes.
So to start with,
Mike.
let's actually jump into the specific quote from the prophecy. 3 heroes appear at World's Edge: a human, a monster, and a prince from the dark. Only they can seal the fountains and banish the angels' heaven. Only then will balance be restored, and the world saved from destruction. Now, this seems pretty cut and dry. We know who the heroes are, Susie, Chris, and Ralsei. We know that the dark fountains turn real-world locations into fantasy-like adventures. We also understand the concept of saving the world. It's video gaming 101. But there's a line in here that I really want to focus on. One that's a lot more ambiguous. Banish the angels' heaven. What? It's a weird thing to say. What is an angel's heaven? And more importantly, why would we want to banish something like that? Normally, angels in heaven, they tend to be good things, right? In my initial theories on this game, I suggested that the angel was Azrael, Chris's brother who's away at college, the one that broke Chris's spirit and left them all alone at home. In chapter 1, we're told that Chris and Azrael made an angel for their youth group, only to waste time on giving it massive wings, just like Azrael's final form from Undertale. And given that we believed Azrael to be the one causing Chris to run away and hide in this fantasy dark world in the first place, it would make sense for the angel and angel's heaven to be connected to Azrael. But then chapter 2 came out, and a second challenger for the title of angel came into play: Noel. We met Noel.
Hi, my name's Enrique.
Sorry about that, we'll be right back. And we're back with Noel.
Met Noel in chapter 1, a young, nervous little reindeer with a crush on Susie, and immediately her connections with angels are obvious. First, there's her outfit, a flowing white gown that looks an awful lot like the white robes that angels are depicted wearing in most religious artwork. During your encounters with various enemy characters, they refer to Noel directly as Angel. Heck, Noel herself even says that she wants to turn into an angel. During a romantic Ferris wheel ride with Susie, she says, quote, I'd jump out the window. It's a dream, right? I'd grow big angel wings and fly as far as I can, gazing back at it all. And then there's just a ton of Christ imagery associated with the character. At the end of chapter 2, she's in a Christ pose while being held captive. She can be equipped with a ring of thorns.
I'm gonna be honest, though, that's a bit of a stretch. But the Ring of Thorns, now that one, that's definitely all. That is definitely it. The
crown of thorns that Jesus is forced to wear during his crucifixion. Even her name Noel is a reference to Christmas and the birth of Jesus. Seems pretty darn obvious then, right? So Noel being the angel means that at some point she's gonna turn on all of us and we're gonna have to face her down in order to banish whatever heaven she's fighting for.
Wait, does that mean that the wheel, the path, is actually the right path to play through?
Case, right? But hey, that's just a theory and all that. Well, hold on a second. Let's not jump to conclusions just yet. Way back in Undertale, Gerson the Turtle actually tells us the meaning of the Deltarune symbol. Yeah, in case you forgot this one, Deltarune is actually referenced all the way back in that original game. In it, he says that the triangles represent monsters down below, and that the winged circle in the middle represents, quote, an angel who has seen the surface and will descend from above to bring us freedom. He also mentions that people have started to call the angel an angel of death. But obviously this is a prophecy that's only relevant to Undertale, right? Azrael crossed over onto the surface, got attacked by humans and killed, only to then be resurrected as the vengeful Flowey, who digivolves into the all-powerful god of hyperdeath. Azrael's the angel, even has the wings to prove it, prophecy fulfilled, no need to worry about it here, right? Well, yeah, that could be the case, but the prophecy also applies in the world of Deltarune. You see, at the end of chapter 1, you have the chance to walk around the town and interact with people, some of which you recognize, others you might not. One of those unknown figures is Father Alvin, the leader of the local church that Chris attends. If you speak to him, he leaves you with these parting words: let the angel's power light your way. The angel spoken of in Ralsei's prophecy is apparently worshipped in the Lightner world as well. This means that the angel's heaven is a force that transcends both worlds. Noel just doesn't exist on that plane of existence. Therefore, she can't be the angel. In fact, she goes to the exact same youth group and church that worships the angel from that heaven. So overall, it wouldn't make sense for Noel to be the angel that that we hear about in the prophecy. That said, that doesn't necessarily mean she's not a pivotal piece in this prophecy coming true. In Chapter 2, Noelle becomes the focus of all the action. Not only is it revealed that the cyber world was created by the Queen to try and make her happy, but the whole narrative hinges on Noelle finding the strength to stand up for herself and ask for what she really wants. By teaming up with Chris, recruiting enemies, and solving puzzles together, Noelle gradually becomes more confident until the climax of the chapter, when she's able to defeat the final boss simply by telling it to stop. Except that's not the only way this chapter can end. There's another route through Chapter 2 known as the Snowgrave route. And this one is also about making Noelle stronger in a very...
Yeah, you see, originally people called it the wheeled path because, you know, the game would be acting wheeled. But it is actually called Snowgrave because that's Noelle's final move that she uses in the final boss fight before you get to the final boss fight.
very different way. You see, in this route, instead of working together with Chris to solve puzzles and rekindle their friendship, Chris instead forces Noelle to attack in battle, kill enemies. They push her into buying expensive items against her will. They force her to wear that Ring of Thorns that I mentioned earlier, an item that's constantly ticking down Noelle's HP. And through it all, Chris is gaslighting Noelle into believing that all of it's for the best, that it's important for making her stronger, and that being stronger is the most...
This is also where we get that whole meme of proceed. Proceed. And, you know, if you know the meme, you know the meme. I'm not going to go through it because that takes like 3 whole minutes.
Important thing. It all culminates in the mini-boss fight against Birdly, where Chris must repeatedly push Noelle to cast the spell Snowgrave, a spell that Noelle's not familiar with or comfortable with. After resisting for a couple turns, eventually Noelle relents, casting a massive ice spell that freezes Birdly solid, a spell that, at least at the end of Chapter 2, he doesn't seem to be able to wake up from. Noelle has become stronger. In fact, she's much stronger now. Her personality back in the light world has once again gotten more direct and controlling, but the journey to get there took a very different tone. So what does any of this have to do with Angel's Heaven and the final boss of the game? Well, I gotta be honest with you, I lied a bit when I was describing how to get that Snowgrave route, because while Chris is the character on screen gaslighting Noelle and forcing her into all these uncomfortable situations, Chris isn't the one doing it. It's us, the player. And the game makes it very clear that it knows it's us. At the end of Chapter 1, when Chris rips out their heart and throws it into a cage, we are still able to move that heart-shaped object while Chris pulls out their knife. At this moment, the